Everybody, welcome back to Equal Time Soccer. I'm Mark Pravratsky, and I'm joined by someone who has played 90 college games and counting with 29 goals, 28 assists to show for it. I'm pretty sure you're the all-time assist leader for the NSIC, but I need to confirm it. Maybe you are aware of that with certainty, but it's Brynn, is it Desens?
Desens.
Desens. Thank you for joining Equal Time.
Thank you for having me.
And it's also something we joked before I went live, but I was made aware that this is Brynn's birthday. So happy birthday, and giving the Equal Time viewers a gift. What a generous thing to do. Thanks for taking the time out.
Thank you.
So I wanted to get one thing I noticed, and I don't know if this has been the case your whole time in Mankato, but you're the only Wisconsinite on the team. You know, you a lot of times with recruiting and even like D2 level, you'll kind of sense patterns because coaches know each other and they kind of like, oh yeah, you'll get a trickle. I just want to know the story how you ended up there, because it seems like a unique thing compared to where the other players are from.
Yeah, it's kind of something I'll joke around calling like the only Wisconsin player on the team. But originally, I was supposed to go to a different school in the conference, and then I decided wasn't really the best fit for me. So then I kind of just found Mankato and kind of fell at home, and then from there, the rest is history, I guess. They all
Where did they? Do you know? You know, where did they find you and reach out to you, like in terms of just seeing you at a tournament? Or I mean, because like I don't know, I honestly don't know if Brian, the coach, you know, like drives to Eastern Wisconsin to watch Green Bay stuff.
No, actually, I reached out, and the coach I was going to go to the school for also put in a good word. So I was the one who initially reached out to Mankato here.
Okay, well, lucky them. It seems like it worked out. That's good. Yeah, well, good to know your decision seems to have paid off. And I mean, for someone who wasn't, you know, approached by the coaches, for someone who approached them, you played a lot as a freshman. It wasn't as if you weren't, you know, like they had to play their favorite. So, I mean, what do you remember about that transition and actually just stepping right in and how that adjustment was?
Definitely, as every freshman I'm sure has gone through, it's pretty hard at first to kind of jump to the level of play. But I had a lot of good mentors on the team that I played under them, and kind of just took each practice and each game as a stepping stone and a learning opportunity to not only better myself, but learn from mistakes and whatnot. So when I saw minutes, it was kind of like take it and run with it kind of mentality. You like show them what you got, prove to who you are and what you're capable of. So that's kind of like always been my mindset, that like never settle for how you played the game before, always trying to improve, and not just yourself, but the people around you. So
what do you think you had to improve most, like to survive in that level? I mean, obviously you played well. I mean, you were getting minutes, so it's not as if you were out of place, but what was it that was the toughest challenge, like thing you had to sharpen up or improve to feel confident?
I think a lot of the thing is definitely the speed of the game, but also like the physicality there is in college soccer. Back where I was from, you didn't really see a whole lot of physical players like you do in college. So just adjusting to that and being able to like have confidence in yourself that like, yeah, you are a freshman, but you can beat older players. You can be physical and match the level of play, and not let that hold you from growing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's yeah, I mean, and also playing physical play made me think of mine, which we'll talk later, because yeah, some teams just want to make it tough for you for sure. What do you remember in that first year you went to the NCAA tournament and you got to play a game at home, maybe in Mankato? Was that the year? And or one of the years you got to play at home? Yeah. So, but you remember, what was it like being in the tournament your freshman year? You know, what do you remember thinking back all the time now, where it feels like it was years ago?
Yeah, definitely freshman year, because we played in Oklahoma. It was a very like surreal opportunity. Like you found out if you made the roster, and that was just kind of like the first step, and be like, oh, my hard work's paying off. But then I remember in the games, it could be intimidating at times playing down like the Oklahoma teams. And I remember we won the first game, super exciting, and then I believe it was Central Oklahoma, or we played at their stadium. And I remember the fan section, they had every single player's name, everything about you. They would just be chirping at you and ripping you. You kind of had to like mentally block that all out. And I think it was like the biggest thing I remembered was just like
Hmm.
how intense people got when it came to like tournament play compared to
Yeah.
conference play.
Yeah. Well, it's look, I mean, I laugh because I thought, I was really one of those people because I was not a college. So I would have been, I tried to change it to where it was only positive things though. So like it would distract you, but it wasn't negative or just, so yeah, try to not be, but yeah, it's every year. If you make the tournament, I mean, the way it matches up with the region, you go down to Oklahoma, you go to Missouri, it's the same couple big teams you kind of have to face each time. What do you remember sophomore year? You took a huge step forward. I mean, in terms of just offensive output, because you had 10 goals, 16 assists. What went right that year? Yeah, I mean, to get you into that position to
Um,
succeed.
Definitely, I think that team had a lot of chemistry and a lot of like faith in each other. And I know personally, I was just kind of like really confident in how I built off freshman year going into sophomore year. Kind of like I
Hmm.
trusted myself, I believed in myself, and pushed
Hmm.
the efforts. And I know a lot of my assists came from corners or just
Hmm.
beating people on the outside. So I think just in that aspect, just trusting my team, and then when scoring goals was just like trusting your abilities, just capitalizing on big moments and making the most out of it. But
Hmm.
definitely probably the most exciting year.
Yeah. Did you have years? I mean, you were successful in high school. I know you were all state honorable mention the one year at least, but did you have offensive production like that in high school too, where you'd have, years with that much goal and
Yeah,
assist?
not as many as assists. More so I had a lot more goals. That was
Hmm.
kind of my main responsibility.
Hmm.
So I kind of played more. We played more of like a two front. So
Hmm.
that was more goal production, whereas when I had all my assists, it was more so I was more of an outside forward, so allowed you to stretch the field and be there for like crosses and that kind of play. So
Hmm.
definitely that was a big change too
Yeah.
versus always scoring and being more of an assist taker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also, players are better when there's talent around them too, and you have a lot of offensive weapons around you. So it kind of like, it breeds success on success because, you all can feed off of that. And you have, I mean, a couple of the people you've been with them 5 years now. So I mean, like Jenny Vetter, who of course is, breaking her own records of
Mhm.
goals. She's been, you've been right there with her 5 years, along with like I think there's three or four other players who still are from your freshman class,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Nadia Lowry and Katie Brown.
Right. So I mean, talk about that crew and just how that like, having that chemistry for that long. That's the thing of these COVID years that people have gotten is it's just like the super seniors and all of the experience. It makes for good stories too. I mean, because there's a lot of like legacy and things. But
Right.
how has it been for you all to obviously some people graduated or they're not there? What's that chemistry like in the squad?
Definitely super, super special. We've been in those big games and we know what people have gone
Hmm.
through or going through during tournament play. And I think us being there to like show and guide our younger players is kind of like something most teams I think can relate that has really, really
Hmm.
helped them. And definitely the chemistry is super, super special. And
Hmm.
it's nice being able to share another year with my girls and really
Hmm.
bring the intensity and like go out with a bang,
Hmm.
not just let people walk over us, like set the tone for the rest of the people and be like, this is the legacy we've had before us. Like
Hmm.
we have standards, we need to live up to them. So just being there to like continuously push and share these last few games together is super, super, super special.
Hmm. How is it? I mean, and I mean, the blessing of for the coach and for the team is having the experience and, of course, like established talent. The downside of the extra year is for the young players. I mean, there's a lot of players you just know who aren't playing as much as they may have if there were people didn't stay or Mankato anyway. You carry a huge roster. If you go to a game, it's so you see it very literally because the bench is when I was there. So my brother and I came and called the game for the stream, and it was quite cold that day. But you could see all the Mankato, the bench for Minnesota State, just all standing and making noise. So clearly, we were saying on the stream. Clearly, at least visually, in what we're hearing, like the players either putting on a great show or they seem to really be supporting the starters and the people who are playing. So I do wonder for you as someone who I mean, you kind of always do get to play, but for the players who aren't playing, for the people who are younger, and how do you think they stay? in the chemistry of the team, and how does the team stay together when so many of the players aren't playing because you have 30 or you have so many.
Right. Yeah. We definitely talk about the importance of like knowing your role on the team. And I think a lot of the players who may not see as many minutes or get a few minutes, they know that like, yeah, they may not be contributing on the field, but like if they're there to hype the team up, like
Hmm.
encourage everybody, like they're making an impact. They're keeping the game intense, keeping everybody pushing forward. We're like in points of the games they could be dropping. But
Hmm.
definitely the bench is probably one of our biggest strengths, just having
Yeah.
everybody hyped, keeping everybody into the game, motivated, always pushing, like, definitely something super special, like, when I come off the
Hmm.
field, it's, like, something you love to be around, like, everyone's so excited for you, everyone wants everybody to do the best, so
Uh-huh.
bench is kind of like a little secret weapon, I would say, just for the
Yeah. There's a factor for sure because at the very least, like watching the game too, I mean, at the very least, it would be annoying. Like to the other team. So like at the very least, when you're tired and you're like, why are they freaking screaming? So like it would at least distract them to be, so
Right.
like if not irritate them. So it's kind of, it's kind of like it's kind of like trash talk where you're like, it's not totally gonna change the game, but like maybe I'm getting in someone's head a little bit. And yeah, it is there's a factor. There's a factor. It's good, and for you all to keep going too, like motivated for them. 'Cause you're like they're cheering, they're not even on the field, so that's cool.
Right.
It's a cool thing, and it's easy to see, obviously, because you hear it. You hear it, and it makes it fun to watch the games. And also the dads are sorry,
Oh,
the
yeah.
parents have the air raid siren, old school, like that was cool. I like that, and that would annoy me if I was the other team too. I want to do one more question before I take a quick break to read our ad sponsor. I just wanted to ask you, you spent time playing for Green Bay Glory, at least, like, I don't know if it was one summer, if it was in high school when you were playing
Just
club.
the summer, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you saw the way they kind of took a big step up in profile this year where they were like on, local broadcasts and playing in the minor league baseball. Like, did you see any of that? Kind of, I wonder what you thought of kind of your local kind of team getting that a bit more shine.
Yeah, it's definitely super cool. I did follow them a lot. I didn't play it all this summer, but I followed
Mhm.
them, and like even when I played, they always had high standards for the way they wanted
Mhm.
to progress their team. So it's really awesome and really cool to see them taking those extra steps and really like pushing their team out there and making a big impact on the community. It's definitely super
Yeah.
awesome.
They were, and they got, credit to them. They were competitive against Aurora, who really didn't like
Mhm.
struggle against many teams, and they got a tie in the opening game, and they were really competitive at home too. It was fun. They were both easily the two most public facing of that league in terms of like good stream, and it makes it look better. So it's cool to see.
Right.
Really got players got a lot of shine, and it was cool to see like some of the players who had been from Green Bay a while back were coaching, and it was
Mhm.
it's fun to see. Good things next year, I'm sure too. I'll take a break to read a sponsor for Pence Homes, who supports our work. This show is brought to you by Pence Homes. Whether you're buying or selling or looking to do some projects in your current home, Nate and Lydia can help you find what you need. Need financing for a basement remodel, looking to add a second bath, or even a workspace now that you're working from home? Pence Homes and their preferred lender, Angie Shearer, with Luminant Financing, can help find the right financing tool for you. Go to pencehomes.com to learn more, or find them on social media at Pence Homes. Thank you, Pence Homes. So let's dive into this year a little bit, because you're right in the heat of it. Still technically unbeaten for the last 18 games, because it was a tough PK loss against Minot. So obviously teams only lost once. So I mean, what this team, you win every year, but what makes this team great specifically, and what may be different than last year or the other teams you've been a part of in Mankato?
I think this part that probably makes it a little bit more different is we have a lot more offensive like power. We have a lot more people who are strategically, offensively gifted, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that that really has shown in the past few games
Mm-hmm.
that like we are able to attack, whereas other teams are more technically strong in like the midfield aspect. So I think just the difference is the speed and the ability of people to pick on, and
Mm-hmm.
as well as the extra COVID years. So having more experience and like
Mm-hmm.
starting lineups definitely sets it apart from other years for sure.
Yeah, you can see the way people play specific roles. I mean, that is a value when people know what their strength is and they know that's what they get to do. Like where you and also, I mean, I don't know if I mean, tell me if I'm off on this, but it seemed like watching the couple games I have this year, you do a lot of interchanging, like a lot of flexibility between like where Vetter will be, where you will be, you'll move to different space, Mathis, like all the. So I don't know if that's really. It seems like you have a good chemistry in terms of being able to do that, be
Right.
flexible.
Definitely a lot of players are able to adapt on the fly,
Mm-hmm.
and that really is a good strategy we have and a good key focus we have in the games. If we need to make those small adjustments, we can do them easily without
Right.
ruining the momentum of our play.
And kind of putting the other defense on their back feet by just switching, like, oh, Vetter's over here now. This, she's running in the wing. Yeah, it makes it fun to watch. The biggest win, I mean, congrats. We didn't have anybody on after this where you beat Grand Valley State. That must have been, I can't imagine, because they were number one in the country, obviously, because they're last year's national champion. They're maybe the biggest D2 power, right? So I mean, talk about that win. What do you remember from that?
That was probably the best step in the right direction we could take. I remember the game was super, super hype, and it was just everyone was giving it their all, and you couldn't even imagine how crazy the bench was going. Everyone was giving it everything they had, and basically everyone fought till the end, and people were dead after the game because we believed in each other. We believed that we could win. So that was just amazing feeling when you come out with the win against the number one team in the nation.
Yeah. Well, and it's really, I mean, for you who you've been to the tournament, and Mankato traditionally makes it there, but you haven't had, I'm sure you all believe you can make the deepest run, you've ever made to make it past where you've been before. And so that must just give you a lot of confidence. I would imagine it would make you feel like you're strong, for a run in the tourney, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Awesome.
Yes.
And 1-0. So yeah, that must have been a nail biter at the end. That is the one of the weirdness of college soccer, counting down the end, literally saying 10, 9, 8, which it's a bit silly in the context of the game, but it makes for really good drama at the end when a player's literally running, so that, yeah, I'm sure that was tense.
Yes, for sure. You kind of have to focus in for the last, like you said, last 10 seconds, anything can happen. So definitely I remember we were all just kind of scored, and they were like, all right, we still have another 5 minutes to play. You really have to lock it down here. And it was anxiety to the end.
Yeah. Must have been a good bus ride back. Yeah. From that trip. Talk about Minot. So we did yesterday. We watched the first half of the game. I just gotten off 4 days of bartending, so apology viewers that we didn't do the whole game, but it went into overtime and was a 0-0. So, so maybe it was okay. We just did a half, but Minot, it looks like they're just brutal to play against. They give up very few goals because they know what they're going to do. They sit back. I was having a hard time, being more sophisticated in describing how they, muck it up, but they just put, everyone but one forward behind. It looked like. What did you must be really frustrated to not get goals against them. What do they do to make it such a slog fest?
They're a very, very defensively organized team. They are good at backing the box, getting numbers behind, so it limits chances. And I think when they play us, they always make an extremely good game, and they're always one of the teams we know are going to give you a hard time. So it's kind of, we have to finish opportunities when we get them and just kind of find ways to break their lines. But yeah, they get numbers back quickly.
And they did have a couple. They actually had a few really good, very quick counters, which they have to be able to do. But then it's basically 2 or 3 players up, and if they don't combine perfectly, then it's back to defense. So, but they found their moments, and they actually could have snuck. They could have snuck back past Bemidji if they they'd taken one. But talk about how you focus your mindset in this interim, because you don't technically know you're in the tournament, but you do know rankings and likelihoods, and you kind of know you need to prepare for it. So just what's your mindset in terms of preparing but not knowing the opponent, not knowing the exact focus? How do you handle this time before the selection happens next week?
Definitely, I think a lot of us are focusing in on what we can control, and when we go out on the field the next time we play, we want to really bring the heat, kind of use what happened to us as a learning lesson to
Mhm.
not rest on what you had before and to always be the aggressor. Have
Mhm.
that mindset of pushing forward, bringing the heat, and kind of play a little pissed off
Uh-huh.
because we got stuff to prove and we want to make that deep run. So I think we're focusing on that, but also like being realistic that there's opportunities we might see teams we've already faced again, and we just have to
Yeah.
play our game and not play their game, play what we know, play
Yeah.
how Mankato soccer plays.
Right. Yeah, especially coming off like a 0-0, you're like, well, look, we just need if we know we can do our offensive thing, we need to focus on what we're doing in terms of
Mhm.
like just getting our rhythm. So that makes sense. There's a chance. I mean, so Bemidji's going to be in there. I mean, so how much would there's a chance you could get selected with Bemidji. How much would you guys like that, or would
I
you hope for Bemidji or a different team because you see them all the time?
I don't really think we have an opinion on who we play. We just are just ready to prepare, just how
Hmm.
we prepare for any team, because any team can beat you at any time, and it's just who's going to
Hmm.
come and play the best game. So I think we're just looking at our next opponent as a challenge that, like, for us as a
Hmm.
team, we need to work on and build from and learn from our mistakes and grow to continue moving on. And I think we're just ready for whoever we get selected to play against.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're looking forward to it. I'm sure there'll be, a lot of those, Central Missouri, there'll be a couple of the people we saw last year too. And there was a lot of drama for both you and Bemidji and how you went through as well. What's the goal for the team in the tournament? I mean, I'm assuming, say we're saying you're going to be in the tournament. What's the goal of how far this team wants to make it or can make it?
Obviously, the end goal is making it out to Seattle. That's what we want to do for sure. But I think goals we want to accomplish each week is just winning, be that one team that gets to advance, play
Mm-hmm.
our game, advance to the next round.
Yeah, exciting. Yeah, do you think will that be do you have like family waiting? I mean, that's a drive. It is not easy to like hop down to Oklahoma. Do you have like it's your last year though? Do you have like family waiting to see and who plan to go down?
Um, Potentially my parents might come, but I always joke that Jenny's parents are like my Mankato parents, so for sure they're
Huh?
always there for us. So if
Even
my
yeah,
parents can't make it, it'll definitely be my Mankato family.
even coming to Mankato is a haul from Appleton. That's
Yeah,
not easy at all. What is it like
like
five? Is it like 5 hours?
5.5.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, that's not a hop over and back. Who's a player? So I mean, we talked about there's a lot of players who are experienced who get a lot of shine. I'm curious for you. I mean, so you and a bunch of the fifth years will be gone next year. Who's someone who maybe like doesn't play at all, or just someone who doesn't get much playing time that you are in training or you're in like games and you're like they're doing scout, against you or something, and you think, oh, they might be the next, person or someone who will surprise next year, maybe.
I definitely think, of course, Melee has a good run and she's a very dynamic offensive player, but I think some of our freshmen had the opportunity to have been playing really, really solid. Anna Van Weingarten has been playing really solid for us in our holding and alongside Ashlyn. So I think our midfield is going to be pretty strong. And I think those are some good key solid players that will continue to push us forward if they can lock down together. I think having a good midfield
Yeah.
really helps in games.
Yeah, give some other players a chance. We had 5 years. You guys have taken
Right.
it all. Yeah, it is. There'll be some forward spots open. I mean,
Mhm.
for younger players next year. That'll be exciting to see. Who's your favorite team to beat in the NSIC? And also, I mean, if you also, I don't know if there's a grudge from one of your NCAA tournament teams that you specifically would want to beat who have knocked you out, like of the NCAAs too. I'm curious about that.
I don't know if I don't really know if I have a favorite team to beat in the conference, but definitely
Mhm.
we love to beat Central Missouri. That's probably one of our favorite teams to beat just
Uh,
because they knocked us out last year and
yeah.
always a good game against them. So it's always fun when you can find the way to beat them.
Yeah. I just remember all of my memories of watching those games from the region were just like the dry grass. Like it wasn't snowy, which was nice because Bemidji was snowy as
Right.
hell when you played there. But it is, you just like the big open. It's all the prairie down there.
Yeah, and
Basically, it
it's
feels like.
soft. The grass is soft, so it's way different from what you're playing here.
Yeah. That would. Yeah. I mean, honestly, at least it's not like when we talk to the players who played in like the Summit League and have to go to Denver and just like fly into the you're like, oof, that would suck to fly into the elevation when they live there the whole time. Yeah. What are your favorite? You spend a lot of time on a bus in the NSIC, but also you do get sometimes, you get non-conference trips. You also maybe have you had one international? But I'm wondering what your favorite road trips you've had have been.
I think one of my favorite ones this year was definitely, I think we were coming back from Bemidji. We got like a little karaoke machine and we were doing karaoke on the bus. So it was kind of fun. Like each person was singing at the top of their lungs. So definitely the karaoke trips or just movie trips. We always do like a Halloween themed ones. We do like a haunted house trip. Those are always super fun. And
what'd you do this year for Halloween?
We went to a haunted house and it was kind of a fun one. It was like a hayride through like a corn maze. And then
yikes.
that was one part of it. And then like we went through like a woods part in different houses. So
do people jump out and grab you? They grab you?
Actually on the hayride they could actually like touch you. So like the whole haunted house they could touch you. So it's kind of like I love haunted houses, but like
do you?
Yeah. I'm always the first one.
I don't think they should be able to touch you. I don't like that at all. Yeah. It may become maybe because when I was a kid, a friend's dad was dressed up and like grabbed I was like, I'm out. I left my whole candy bag. I'm like, not worth it. I'm out. Like candy some other way. But yeah, that's funny. Well, karaoke. I'm not gonna ask who's bad at karaoke because you can't be bad. It's all fun. It's all good. I bartend for karaoke, but who's the best? Do you want to give anyone shine? Yeah, anyone some shine?
Gotta think who was killing it. Oh, definitely Mackenzie Rath and Lucy.
Okay.
And Abby. They had some really good music going there.
What were they doing? What type of stuff? New stuff or?
It was just like throwbacks, like throwback songs. They were having the time of their life. They were getting after.
Probably like the 2000s stuff from the 2000s.
Yes, the stuff from the 2000s.
I know how. Yeah, I'm always aware of how old I am and how old the players are because I'm like that's throwback to them. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there was someone in the bar rocking out to Soldier Boy, and they're like 23, and I was like, "How do you like this? Is like vintage, like classic?" And they're like, "No, I did it in 3rd grade." I'm like, "Right, yeah, that makes sense." Yep. Karaoke machine on the bus is a good idea, although, until it goes too long. Some players probably weren't into it. I don't know.
Yeah, it went on for a couple hours. So
I remember being on choir trips on a bus and everyone was singing all the time. Like, guys, we all know we can sing. Yeah, it's the whole thing is that we can sing. We don't have to. Yeah. Who's the best player you played against in college? And maybe it's a memory of like some baller in high school who was really good. Who's the best? And it could be multiple, but
let's see. Gotta think.
So like the all-time, it's like Rachel Norton for Bemidji was like the best goal scorer besides Jenny, in that time. I don't know if there's like a defender who was bad for you as like an offensive player.
I guess I always like Augie has some pretty good defensive. They're really good at like locking down, especially when you're playing that. So I don't know if it's a specific player, but I think that they always have like a really strong defense on
their defense. Yeah. Shout out to the Vikings. I'm curious, just like looking through stats, I'm curious because it's always interesting to know if players know or care about the stats. Like, I'm curious, do you know how many penalty kicks you've taken for Mankato and what your rate is? I mean, I know.
I do not, honestly.
Do you think? I mean, you've made every one. That's the type of thing you'd probably remember that you're 7 for 7. Have you guys been doing the PK practice?
Yeah. We always do a little bit of PK practice just to kind of like, I think it helps a lot of people with their nerves, just kind of like.
Yeah. Well, you go to the tournament most years, so it's kind of like it's something I guess you're more used to in terms of like consistent every year. But how much you don't have to say who, but it's like, do you guys know now like who your 5 would be, or is it a thing of on the day too? I mean, he has to read, what players are doing.
Yeah, I think they definitely have a really good idea of who they would select, and it could come down to day to day because someone could be hurt during that time and they need to call the other one. So definitely they practice quite a bit of players. So they have that like day-to-day decision. But I think in the end they know who their 5 would be if they had to put one out right now.
Right. Do you think at the level, I mean, you can get all the D2 games are, I mean, all this, your opponents are streamed, but like for your, I don't know if it even comes into your brain or if it's the keeper training, but do they go and watch all the penalties they can of the other? I mean, I guess you would, but I don't know if you dig through to do that work or not, you know?
Um, I don't know. I
I
feel
guess
like
you don't
it
have to
might
worry. That's Wrath's job. Yeah.
right, it might benefit them, but I don't know because it's also, like, a day-to-day decision.
Hmm. All right, opponents. You can't predict anything. Dude, yeah. We don't want to. I don't want to. Well, I was gonna say. I was gonna ask you if you were one of the people you think who would take one. Would you want it? You can just say not that, but would you want to take one if they
Oh,
had
for
to?
sure. I love PKs. They're probably one of my favorite things.
Okay, right on. So, well, so speaking, I don't know if you ever had to do that in a playoff before, but what's the favorite goal you've ever scored?
I think one of my favorite goals was definitely I think it was in 2019 in the the Sweet 16.
Uh
One of
huh.
my favorite goals was kind of top of the 18, far right, and I like just sailed it over the goalie's head, like upper 90 on the left hand side. So I think just those like
Yeah, like a
little goals,
left-footed.
yeah, where,
Yeah.
like, he just kinda bends in correctly, you kinda didn't think it was gonna go, and it kinda happened, so I love those goals, like, the little surprise goals.
Yeah, yeah, that's sweet. What's the favorite goal? You have so many assists, like I said, NSIC leader, right? I mean, did someone make you aware of that when that happened? You say like, the coach say it when you passed? Because like, you are the all-time leader, aren't you, with 28?
I think so.
The last person had 26, like the previous. So I mean, this year you've passed them. Yeah.
I had no idea until you actually told me that, it's kinda fun, I always challenge myself each year. I wanted to break my record, but I don't think I'm gonna break it this year. 60 is a lot of assists in one season.
No, all time. I mean, it's all time in assists, and then like better with points. You're also high up in terms of Mankato, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure players always say like the team needs to win, and that's just cool because the team wins. But I mean, does it? You still have a run in you, but I mean, like you're going to be done with college soccer soon. I mean, how much does that mean something to you, or is it nice to have something simple to like remember or like hang your hat on? You got to get a plaque, by the way. We got to get NSIC to make something.
Right? I think it's something super cool. Always a goal of mine to challenge myself each year, and I think that
Mhm.
having that many assists is kind of something to be proud of because not a lot of people can say, "Oh, I have
Mhm.
this record in assists," or
Yeah.
then just having the school record is kind of something special. I remember before I even came here, one of the coaches I would play in club was like, "Go out there and break records, like you got it," and I was like,
Mhm.
just kind of remember that in the back of my head, like
Yeah.
well, people think that's super cool, and I think that's super cool to be like, "Yeah, I broke a record."
Yeah. Well, and hey, it's like, we know we know you got engaged on the soccer field last year. So I mean, if there's ever, a child in the future, it's like mom could play, dude. Like, look, yeah, this is real. That there's a name, here's a banner at the pitch. It's like, yeah.
For sure.
Cred for sure. Talk about that too, because I saw on your Instagram that it must have been you got proposed to at a game last year. Talk
Yeah.
about that. I want to know your reaction. Did you see it coming?
Um, no, I did not see it coming. I'm
Okay.
kind of the world's most, like, oblivious person. My parents were down here. My mom was like, "How did you not catch on after, like, he was, like, dropping hints?" And I'm like, "Mom, I don't pay attention to that stuff." But it
He was
was
dropping hints. You're not supposed to drop hints. You mean like he
he
wasn't?
didn't He didn't mean he actually sent me a text, asked me, what the ring was, and I was like, I was oblivious. And I was
Oh,
like, "Can you just send some."
that's a hint.
Yeah, and then, well, it was senior night. I think we were playing, Southwest, and then
Mhm.
after the game, I got pulled out of the game early, and I was just kind of like, "Oh, I played like crap. Like,
Yeah.
why am I sitting out so early? I thought I was doing good." Just kind of like in my head. But then after, I remember Jenny was like, "Hey, Brynn, like take your penny off. Like my mom wants a picture after the game." And I was like, "Okay." Took it
Uh
off.
huh.
Shook hands with everybody, and I was running over to the sideline, and I'm like, "Where's Jenny's mom?" Like she's trying to take a picture, and then my fiance Tanner walked on the field, and I just have this vivid picture of my face just like looking at him when he's giving me a hug, like, what are you doing? Like
Yeah, he
I'm like,
doesn't normally
he
go up.
doesn't normally do it. And then like Jenny had known, so everyone had stopped, and then like he proposed in front of everybody, and then like everyone went crazy, and then I remember there's a big old dog pile at the end. So
I
super
could
cool,
only.
good way to end.
Oh man, how cool! Well, and they are your sisters, I'm sure, in ways
Oh yeah.
that you're with. So that's a cool thing to share with them, and cool for the fans to get to see. Look, it, I proposed someone once. I did not do it in public. I would be. It's bold. So what's your fiance's name?
Tanner Meyer, he runs track here, so he's very outgoing.
Tanner.
Yeah.
Bold, my man. Way to go! It happened. What is it? What does he run in track?
He's a middle distance, so like 800,
Mhm.
1500 is his main events, I would say.
Is he holding some big trophy? Was there some? What did he win? Something?
Yeah, he got third place in indoor nationals in the 800.
Yikes!
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So he's fat. Is he faster than you?
Yeah. Sadly,
Faster
yeah.
than almost everyone. So yeah,
Right.
that's cool. Is he into soccer as well?
Oh my gosh, she loves soccer.
Okay.
If there was a guys team, I would be playing.
Okay. Right on.
Oh,
Well, this leads into my question because I wanted to ask if you weren't playing soccer in college, what would you be playing? What sport would be next for you?
I think I would do track. Would be
What events? Did you do it in high school?
No, I wanted to, but back home, track and soccer in the same
Yeah.
season, so I didn't want to put that much strain on my body. But
Right.
I would probably do like sprints, and then like I really liked long jump when I did it.
Yeah.
Those are my two.
So so you're saying you could have played both at the same time?
You could back home, you could do two sports in the same
Wow.
season, but I would never do that. It's
Well,
too much
it's
on you.
yeah. Well, it sucks in terms of also spring is such bad weather. Like that
Mhm.
must be really bad for the. It must be you must have muddy games, right? Or what?
Yeah, luckily we had a turf field, so it was the
Oh, yeah.
distance, it didn't really matter, but yeah, we used to have grass and it's
Right.
not
Well, because like in Minnesota, like baseball and softball, like can't even have seasons here anymore. Like the
right.
way we have springs, like it doesn't even, it barely makes sense. So it is. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, you didn't play any other sports in high school though?
No. To do competitive dance, I um, stopped doing that freshman year of high school.
Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't have done that in college, the dance squad? Um,
No, I kind of did it more so for my friends. My friends did it, so then I was like, "Oh, I gotta do
huh.
it,"
Yeah.
type of
You
thing.
just dance in the locker room now. Yeah. You don't have to, the standards are lower dancing in the locker room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, right.
Um, what's your favorite thing about Mankato other than soccer? Obviously, like your teammates and the soccer team, and I got to take your fiance out of it too. We got to take him out of it. What's aside from that? What's your favorite thing about having been in Mankato the last 5 years?
Um, I really love the atmosphere Mankato has, like, just in like um school, like everyone's kind of like there and everyone's super friendly and um really just gets along and
Mhm.
I really love my cohort for my grad school. They're all like super funny. Everyone has like funny personalities and it's just, like it's cool to see like everyone's different backgrounds and
Mhm.
where they all came from. So I think just the whole school community I think is super awesome
Yeah.
and the way they're connected to the community.
What's your grad program you're in now?
I'm going for exercise physiology, so a master in that.
Right on.
And
So
then,
want to stay around the game or around sports for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I kind of work more in cardiac rehab is what my
Oh,
end
okay.
goal is. So,
Okay. Well, making a difference. All right. Right on,
yeah.
Brynn. Very cool. And what are your plans for after? Or no, I want to ask before. Who's your favorite player? Do you have a favorite soccer player or multiple favorite players?
Um, I guess my favorite like pro players, I really like Rose Lavelle. I think
Yeah,
she's super good. And then like of course Alex Morgan. I'm on that bandwagon.
sure.
And then
So,
when David Beckham played, that was my favorite.
okay, yeah. I mean, it was fun to watch, and I mean,
Yeah.
look, it's not hard to look at. He was, yeah,
Right.
he had some hair. I saw a picture when when boyfriends match their partner's hair when it's like
Right.
Brad Pitt did it with his girlfriends. They had matching hair that was like this is not good. This was a bad thing for both of you. That was funny. But yeah, Rose Lavelle. Look, you joined the long list. I'd have to look back of I have Roosevelt's autograph tattooed on my leg when I met her, and we've had probably 5 players in the last year when I ask say Roosevelt. Yeah, I like her because she's a great player, right? But also like I like it because she seems kind of like goofy and
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. And she went to Wisconsin, so maybe I'm a little biased that she
Well,
went.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's Wisconsin proud for sure. Yeah, I'd love to get Sam Mewis's right next to it since they're like midfield
Right.
buds or whatever. Yeah. What are your plans for after this year? You said exercise physiology. You mentioned, doing that cardiac work. What does that
Yep.
look like?
So I'll graduate in May, so
Cool.
hopefully I'll get a job in cardiac rehab right out of the bag, but otherwise just kind of probably staying around Mankato, just kind of seeing where life takes us. Maybe
Cool.
help a little bit around the team.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, well, you could use, yeah, I mean, you use a wise old veteran to help the team next year for sure. Hopefully, bragging them all about the NCAA tournament run you made this year, of course. Yeah, awesome. Brynn, we really appreciate your time on your birthday. Happy birthday,
Thank
23
you.
years young. Got one more NCAA tournament run in your books. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.